We have been talking about the family, and we're going to do that for a couple more weeks before we move on. If life were a play and the family were the actors on stage, then children have an important role to play. And this morning I want to speak to the children in their most important act. We have spoken to married couples, and some of you may say, well, I'm not married. I've spoken to parents, and some of you might have said, well, I'm not a parent. Well, I'm speaking to children today, and some of you may say, well, that doesn't apply to me anymore. I hope you know the principle goes beyond the growing up years, even though I'm speaking mainly to those still in the house. There's one thing that is common to all of us. I don't even have to know you to know this about you. You had a mom and a dad. Whether they are alive or not, whether they were a part of your life or not, and whether they blessed you or not, it took a mom and a dad to produce you, and we are alike in that. We're thankful for parents here, but I want to speak to the children. So if you are small and can understand this, please listen. If you are young but almost an adult, or in your head you're already there, I hope you'll listen. And even if you're grown up, you're older, you may have family of your own, I hope you will also listen, because honoring your parents does not have an expiration date. Some may say that children and teens are not what they used to be. There was a day when innocence followed a child around for a time, and it took them a while to learn about the evils in the world, but technology has thrust every young one who is holding a device into that, where innocence is shattered. The devices in their hands, you might say, are ruining them. Us. There was a time when teens might have gotten into trouble, as maybe all teens do, but rarely would have been the worst kind. Who knows who would have thought back then about the teens who have already been having abortions and populating the gangs and hooked on drugs and shooting up their schools. And even for those who are not doing the worst, there's still an attitude among our young ones in America of entitlement. Listen to how Dan Williams describes this parent-child contract. As your child, I demand the right and expect the freedom to do as I please, even to act in disregard to your instructions, if I so desire, because you do not have the authority to curtail my behavior. I believe that, as a teenager, I am completely capable of calling the shots in my life, and I am fully equal to you in experience, wisdom, and perspective. In return, as my parent, I fully expect you to pay the bills for any consequences that may ensue. You will provide me with room, board, clothing, transportation, and spending money. You will pay the increased car insurance premiums if I get drunk and have a wreck. You'll bail me out of jail and provide legal counsel if I get in trouble with the law. You'll raise any children I bring into this world. You'll pay for my college, even if I blow off classes and flunk out. You'll provide medical treatment for any personal injuries I sustain as a result of reckless behavior, and in the event that, by foolish choices, I render myself emotionally or physically unable to earn a living, you will support me for the rest of your natural life and then leave your accumulated assets to me in your estate as my rightful inheritance. It's a joke, but it's not far off from some modern expectations of the young. I've said it before, respect and honor are hard to come by sometimes. You don't have to look far to find selfishness, greed, rebellion, and even hatred in the lives of young ones in our world. Maybe that's nothing new. Even in ancient Israel, God was giving his people the laws that would govern them, and he knew the rebellious ones among them and how to handle them. Listen to this, a shocking story in Deuteronomy 21. Maybe you've heard this, maybe not. If someone has a stubborn and rebellious son who does not obey his father and mother and will not listen to them when they discipline him, his father and mother shall take hold of him and bring him to the elders at the gate of his town. They shall say to the elders, this son of ours is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey us. He's a glutton and a drunk. Then all the men of the town are to stone him to death. You must purge the evil from among you, and all Israel will hear it and be afraid. Wow. It's a disturbing story, but I suspect powerfully effective. And if God's plan for Israel, intent on raising obedient children, was to take care of a rambunctious, rebellious, defiantly disobedient son, not so much maybe to punish him or rehabilitate him, but to take him out so he doesn't influence the others, then pay attention. Because God takes obedience between a child and his parents very seriously. We see obedience sometimes as nice and ideal. God sees it as necessary and obligated. And what a lesson for everybody. Could you imagine if we did that today? What if I stopped right now and I pointed somebody out among us, a teen who has been openly defiant to his parents? His language, his attitude, his actions have been disturbingly disobedient. So here's what we'll do. Let's all get up right now and let's walk back here to the gravel drive, the parking lot. I've piled some larger stones out there, and let's go ahead and get in a circle, put him in the middle, and we'll take care of him. Let's kill him today. Can you imagine the seriousness of that? What's going through every child who is among us in the circle, watching him bleed and die? The rebellious one, his life is ending today. I'm not suggesting it, but do you know the God who fully expects respect and wisdom and obedience and honor? Thankfully, we live under a new law that is not so harsh, or I don't know that many would survive. And let me point out, too, this young man was probably not making a mistake for the first time. Let's not even assume he was a teenager. That's unfair, isn't it? The son, I think, didn't have a momentary lapse in judgment. He didn't oops it. He was persistently rebellious. He chose not to obey his parents. He disrespected them at every turn, quickly bringing dishonor to the family and the whole community. And all through the scriptures, the warning is that this kind of yeast can spread through the whole batch of dough. So be careful. Get it out. This is the last resort for these parents. They should have had control of their son, but he was sinfully disobedient. So they turned him over to the community, and the men took care of him. I don't know that this happened much, if ever. I don't know if it had to happen much. Maybe once in a generation, and then you just keep telling the stories of what happened to Johnny. I suspect it would have been thoroughly effective in the community. But God made sure they knew this, and we should know this. The stability of the family, the child-parent relationship, is the foundation of a strong society. And I wish we Americans understood that. Our families are eroding sometimes before our eyes. Let's not be surprised that the nation follows in those steps. And the reason the story is taught is so Israel can teach it forevermore. And if teaching it doesn't help, then do it. Can you imagine how the word spread? How do you think our children would act today if, as you're walking out the building, you walked past Johnny's corpse in the parking lot, bleeding and lifeless? The message is we fully expect obedience and the respect of parents here. We don't tolerate evil. A rebellious son and daughter won't live long. Do you hear the final words? And all Israel will hear it and be afraid. I'm not sure children fear their parents these days. In my mind, I'm pretty sure that's why people don't fear the Lord either. I've told you many times about my house growing up. There were two things I remember. I've told you. Number one, my parents loved me, and number two, I was not in charge. I always knew those two things. My parents loved me, and I was never in charge. I feared the punishment of my parents. I had my dad's hand on my bottom more than once. I feared the punishment. I also feared disappointing them. And as I got older, the fear of punishment decreased, and my deep desire to please them and honor them took its place. The son in Deuteronomy 25 should make everyone sit up and listen. I'm pretty sure he neither had the fear of punishment nor the deep desire to please his parents in him, and that's why he did not live. But the point is this: God takes the obedience of children to their parents very, very seriously. If that's too negative, let's leave the Old Testament and come to the New. Let me remind you if you know, and let me tell you if you don't, the way it should be even today. Ephesians chapter 6. Do you know this one? Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise, so that it may go well with you and that you may enjoy long life on the earth. I don't know which challenges you more, the Old Testament scary story or the New Testament language of love and honor. But both should be heard and remembered. Can I give you some things to remember today to take home with you? First, honor and obey your parents. I still remember early in my ministry in Texas, I was a young youth minister, single, standing there in the auditorium in an aisle after worship. And one of the girls in our youth group, her dad was an elder, and her mother stood beside me as she was talking to her, not me. And I'm sure my jaw hit the floor when she said to her mother in front of me, "You're stupid." I don't remember the exact words she used, but that was the gist of it. It's pretty close. I couldn't believe my ears. The mother didn't do anything, acted like it wasn't a big deal. The girl probably didn't remember what she said, but it was a big deal to me. I'm sure it was a big deal to God. Honoring and obeying go hand in hand. Honoring is key, but obedience is proof. You should honor your mother and father, no matter how old you are. And if you're still in the home, let me give you a few things you could do, which may shock them. You may have to do some CPR if you do these things at home. Here's one: make your bed. Clean your room without ever being asked. Do your homework. Do your chores. Do something for the family, not for yourself. Take out the trash. Pick up the mail. Mow the grass. Sit down with somebody. Put down your phone and talk to somebody who's in the same room with you. Tell your parents you messed up before they found out you messed up. Be honest. Tell them how you're doing. Keep them updated. If you drive, tell them where you're going, what time you'll be back. Be home before curfew. Give them a report about how school's going, how your friends are going. Don't make them question you. Show them you're responsible. Tell them your plans. Let them know you are maturing. And then the simplest way, how about this? Give them a hug. How about a sincere thank you? Maybe a heartfelt "I love you." They may be shocked, but that may go a long way. Number 2, listen to your parents and learn from them. You, if you are young, may be shocked to hear this. Your parents know a lot about life. You may think they're dumb. They're not. Listen to what they say. Pay attention. Learn the lessons they've already learned. Maybe they learned it the hard way, but they're trying to make sure you don't. They want to help you learn the lessons in a better way. Maybe you're not good at listening, so try listening to your parents. I know you hear what they say, but do you understand what they're trying to tell you? Listen involves comprehending, understanding, responding. Do what they say. Try it. Instead of just listening when they talk, start the conversation. Have you ever asked your parents how their day was? Ask your parents how they did it when they were your age. Ask how they dealt with their parents, how they chose their friends, how they handled peer pressure in their day, how they struggled against temptation, trying to be holy, trusting the Lord, holding on to faith in Jesus when it was not easy. Try it. Number 3, submit to your parents and even forgive them. It doesn't use these words in the scripture, so no, I'm going beyond, but it's good for Christian life. It's good for this too. I think one of the fault of teens especially is arrogance, pride. I had it. Don't be surprised if you had it. Most everybody has it from time to time. It's natural and common. You get to a point where you think you know more than your parents. They seem like idiots. Can I tell you, someday you'll look back on this and think, you weren't as smart as you thought, and they weren't as dumb as you feared. God, in His wisdom, set up parents to be in charge of the family, take care of the children, and teach them. They are the teachers. You are the students. Learn what the teachers are teaching. Be patient with them. Cut them some slack. Some of us are easier on our friends than we are our parents. We forgive our sports heroes more than our parents. We're nicer to enemies sometimes than parents. Your parents, especially the single parents, are handling pressures you know so little about. You can't understand what it's like to walk in their shoes till you walk in those shoes someday, and then you'll know how wrong you had been. And also forgive your parents. This is important, especially even if your parents are dead. It doesn't matter how they wronged you, and some stories I've heard even in this church are horrific. The sooner you learn to forgive, the better off you will be. So try not to hold on to the resentment and the anger. Let it go. Turn it loose. Give it over to God. Let Him deal with the wrongs in your past. Forgive even your mom and dad. Don't hold on to hatred and unforgiveness and anger. The Scripture says don't let the sun go down in your anger. So try it today before you go to bed. Let it go. It's a great day to forgive no matter what has been done. I'm embarrassed to say this now. I've told some of you this before. But I was embarrassed by my parents sometimes. My dad at times had gone jogging wearing black socks and white tennis shoes. My mom used to lick her finger and try to wipe it off my face, whatever it was. And until the day they sold the house, they never changed out the orange and yellow sinks in the bathroom that was popular in the 70s. They could be seen as old-fashioned and out of touch and behind the times, and that was how I saw them at times. But here's what I've come to know. Here's the truth. They were in touch with what mattered most. They were genuine and sincere. They were godly and Christian. They were what I want to be. So I hope you're still young enough to know the blessing of having parents as you do. Because someday they'll be gone, and you might just appreciate them even more then. It's ironic, I think, because when I was young, I used to be up on what is new and cool. And I get older and find out I am more and more like my parents were. Times are changing. Even words to describe what is cool has passed me by. And here's the weird part. I'm starting not to care. I'm becoming more and more comfortable not knowing what technology means and the latest. I'm figuring out that I won't be on the top of the food chain anymore. I am fading away. But what is important in life does not fade away. Faith and family, grace and godliness. Your parents may not know what you know, but I promise they know so much more than you can imagine. And it's not always knowledge out of a book. It is what the Bible calls wisdom. It is life experience and so much more. It is what comes from God, as a gift from God when asked of God. And if your parents are worth their salt, they prayed for it, to give it, to have it, to share it. Fourth, love and appreciate your parents. Appreciate them now while you have them, because this is true. We never truly appreciate them until we lay them in the ground. I remember watching an interview way back when Madonna, some of you don't even know who that is, she was at the top of the game. She had her fame and she had it all. Not a good example to follow. She just had it all. When they asked her, the interviewer asked her, what's important to you? She put these in order: love, money, power, and fame. Love, money, power, and fame. And she had them, all of them. When asked if she would give them up for anything else, she quickly said, I'll give it all up to have my mother again, because she died when I was a little girl. Instead of picking and pointing out what you don't have from your parents, how about pay attention to what you do have? I guarantee your parents make mistakes. In fact, they know the mistakes better than you ever will. But what they have done well, notice. Be grateful. Model it for your children when you have children. Of all the things my parents did well, they gave me a faith in God. They showed me what it's like to live a life that honors Jesus Christ. You boil it down, do you know why any of us should honor, obey, and respect our parents? Why? Because it is right to do. Paul's words in Ephesians 6, this is right. It's right. It's always right. Kaufman said there will never be a time when it is right for children to disregard, dishonor, and disobey their parents. And I think if a fear I have is if a child doesn't learn and practice obedience in the home, what are they going to become someday? A terror and a troublemaker for society and church and family. And who knows how many of our ills in society could have been cured if parents had disciplined and loved and trained their children in the Lord. And the children in turn honored, loved, and obeyed their parents in the Lord. I don't know what the truth is of this, but mass shootings, every time another one happens, people flee to their corner and start becoming political. But I'm wondering how many lives could have been saved if the perpetrator had been an obedient, respectful, and honorable child. In our mixed up modern world, it has turned into this: parents, obey your children so you can be happy. It's not true, and that is not right. God knows what is best. He has told us what works. He put children in a home to be raised by parents. Parents should raise the child to know the Lord, raise them in the Lord. The children's obligation is singularly this: obey your parents in the Lord, honor them. Obedience is required of children, not by parents, but by God. Obedience is rewarded, not by parents, but by God. And disobedience is not just a slap in the face of a parent, it is a sin against God. Have you read the end of Romans 1? Have you read the beginning of 2 Timothy 3? Disobedience to parents is rebellion against God. Don't think you can dishonor your parents and honor God at the same time. Impossible. Impossible. You know what we are called to do? If you are in the home, honor, obey your parents. If you are older and maybe your parents are still alive but not around as much, or maybe they're even passed on, maybe you honor them and respect them in ways that are action or maybe a thought or maybe even a prayer. The calling for us is obey, honor, respect your parents. The greater calling for all of us, though, is honor, respect, and obey the Lord. Honor the Lord. So for today, let's end with a song as we usually do. And would you ask the Lord? Would you follow the Lord? Would you walk the narrow way that He has set out for you to do? Today, do what pleases the Lord. Let's stand and sing. Come if you need.
Father God.